channel. So this week I wanted to do a romance novel binge 2 with you guys because I am at 19 romance novels now and there's a lot to talk about. I'm going to do the next 9 that I've read. This gets super confusing without like a chart diagram. So I'm just gonna kind of breeze over this beginning part and just tell you whether or not I liked them and whether they're worth your time, because I have tried to film this like explanation like 3 times now and every time I just get more confused. So moral of the story, if you haven't read like the before books, you're not gonna get the after books, so just be warned. I ended up reading, if you watched my last romance novel binge, which I will link in one of these corners, I will remember which one it is one of these days, but if you've read Taking Chances, then you will have heard of Trusting Liam, which I also mentioned in the last one, saying that I wasn't sure if I wanted to read it or not because it's like the kid of the main couple and all that stuff. But one of my friends was reading it and she was like, oh, it's really good, you should read it. So I did, and I really did enjoy it. I'm not going to really get into what it is. If you want to know, I'm going to link the title and stuff down below so you can go check it out if you want. But if you haven't read Taking Chances or that series, you'll probably be like, you could read it by itself, but it's not as meaningful, I don't think, if you haven't read the beginning ones. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was really nice kind of closure because there was so much drama and like heartache in that first series that it was kind of just nice to have a nice more simple love story. So yeah, I read that one. And then also because of that one, it's like the 2 kids from 2 series meeting and falling in love. So the series from the girl was from is Forgiving Lies, and I read the first one in that series. There's actually a second book. Because I already knew what transpired after the fact because I read Trusting Liam, I went back and read Forgiving Lies just because it was part of the bundle of books that I bought. But I didn't want to read Deceiving Lies, and I don't know if I will just because I know what happens. So I suggest if you want to read that series to read it before you read Trusting Liam because it kind of ruins it. But I wouldn't not read Forgiving Lies. I mean, that was a really good story. I kind of wish I had read it before I read Trusting Liam. Maybe I would have wanted to read Deceiving Lies. But all these books are by Molly McAdams. And then the last book in that bundle that I got from her was From the Ashes. It's about a girl named Cassidy and her best friend Tyler. Cassidy's father actually passed away when she was young on her birthday, and after that her mom kind of started drowning herself in an alcoholic state, and then she ends up getting remarried to a guy who is just as evil, and basically they beat her like severely her whole life, and she always has her best friend Tyler there to kind of take care of her, clean up her wounds, that kind of thing. So when he's leaving to go away for college, he packs her up, he takes her with him. He's going to live with his cousin Gage. And so they get there, and of course this instant spark happens where Cassidy's like, oh, who's that guy? And of course it's her best friend's cousin who they're living with. And so there ends up becoming this kind of awkward love triangle because Cassidy is interested in Gage and Gage is interested in Cassidy, but Tyler is also interested in Cassidy, and little does she know he's in love with her and he has all these feelings for her. And so he's telling Gage one thing, she's telling Gage one thing, so basically like it's just super confusing because Tyler's telling Gage that him and Cassie are together and Cassie's acting like she likes him, and Tyler's telling Gage to stay away even though Tyler knows that Gage likes her and she likes him. So it's like becomes this huge like ring around the rosy for a while of them kind of not being honest with each other. The next thing I read is called Full Package by Lauren Blakely. The cover alone to this book, I was like, this is kind of one of those novels with the covers of romance novels that I'm kind of just like, I don't know if I want to read that. But one of my friends who I've been kind of like doing this romance novel binging with, she had started reading it already and she was like, it's super cute, it's really adorable. And I was like, okay, so I read it. I really did like it. It's very much, it's this best friends, Chase and Josie. Josie is actually Chase's like best friend's sister, and they've always had this really like flirty energy together. And when Chase ends up with like shitty roommates, Josie ends up, her roommate left her, so perfect situation, why not just move in together, we get along great kind of thing. So they do, they move in together and they work really great. It was like a nice break of like just a cute like nice story in the middle of all the drama-filledness that was going on from like From the Ashes and like Taking Chances, because I had just finished those. So yeah, that was a really nice one, and I would like to read other things by Lauren Blakely because I feel like I would really like a lot of her things because there's not as much drama and it's just the love story, and I'm a sucker, I tell you. So after I finished with these things, I decided to go back to the 1 Week Girlfriend series by Monica Murphy. After I finished her Friend series, I wanted more, and so I found this series and I am absolutely in love with it. It starts off from Drew and Fable. Drew is a quarterback who he's going home for the holidays and he wants to not have to go alone just because of a lot of family drama that it gets into, and I don't want to spoil that for you, so I'm not going to tell you. He ends up finding Fable, and she's kind of like, she's a townie. She doesn't go to school, but word gets around that she kind of messes around with some of the guys on the football team, so he thinks she's the perfect girl for his problem because he can pay her and she'll basically do what he wants. But he doesn't want anything sexual from her, he just wants her to pretend to be his girlfriend because him and his stepmom have issues. So yeah, that's all I'm going to tell you guys about that. But it's really good and I really liked it, and I think you should go read the series. I ended up reading book 2 from that series, which is basically just a continuation of after the whole 1 Week Girlfriend stuff happens. It's them once they get back into the like school town setting and how, like, what transpires between them after the fact. That one was really good because if you read 1, it's not like super cliffhangery, but it's a little bit, so you really want to read 2. Book 3 is actually a kind of spiral off story from 2 of the characters that are in the first 2. I actually haven't read that one just because I wanted to stay on the Drew and Fable train. And then there's another little novella called Drew and Fable Forever, which I read next. And I really enjoyed that one also because they're adorable and I really like their story. And then book 4 is actually a kind of spin-off. During the first 2, Fable kind of takes care of her younger brother Owen because their mom's an alcoholic. She's super flaky. Book 4 is him kind of all grown up. He started college. He meets this girl named Chelsea because he is slowly failing and he needs a tutor, so Chelsea is tutoring him. And of course, who doesn't fall for their tutor? But they kind of resist it and they don't want each other, and then they end up falling for each other. So that's book 4. And then book 5, they have to kind of like test their being separated because she ends up going away for the summer to do this summer study, and she goes to another school, and of course there are other gorgeous guys there, and Owen's jealous, and they have to make time for each other and work out all their issues. But I really loved this series. I loved Drew and Fable. I loved getting to see Owen all grown up and him and Chelsea's story transpiring. And I also love that the series that I am working on now, the Rules series, you actually meet the 3 guys who are the stars of the Rules series. In Chelsea's Summer Away, you meet Shep, Gabe, and Tristan. And I just finished up those 3, and now it kind of, the one that I'm about to start is called Safe Bet, and it kind of circles back around to Drew and Fable and Owen's best friend Wade and him finally getting his own story, which I think is really cool. So I'm working on that series right now. That's kind of the Rules series is the one that I want to do for my Romance Binge 3. But I've really been enjoying all these books by Monica Murphy. I'm super excited. The Friends series is my absolute favorite. The first thing that kind of like threw me over the romance novel edge. But the book 4, next one that's coming out forever, it comes out April 4th. I'm super excited about it. But I already pre-ordered it. It's sitting and waiting to drop into my Nook when it comes out. Alright guys, well I hope you guys enjoyed my romance novel binge 2. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and let me know which books you've read from this binge, and if you have, or if you want to check them out, if you'd like to know more, let me know. If there's any books that you guys have been reading that you think I should totally read, please let me know because I'm always looking for new things to read. But I hope you guys have an amazing day and have an amazing week, and I will see you guys next Tuesday. Bye!